Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Rob Potter here, the PromiseReal.net podcast. Victory to the light. Lots of good things are happening. I'm going to call this World Situation Report. And so I wanted to tell you a little bit behind the scenes of the positive information that's moving forward with um, the light forces. We have a three-pronged attack or a three-pronged, three vibrational realms or areas where transformation is taking place. More than that, of course, but we have above the earth. The extraterrestrials are working on helping us to restore the proper energetic flow that has been misadapted by let's call them fallen members of the kind of energy systems of Earth. There have been seraphim, Ophanim, Elohim, and cherubim, other things that probably many other angelic realms that have been responsible for how life is created on the earth. We don't understand a lot of these things, but everything is interrelated. And some beings are responsible for uh, directing the flow of energy of the creative force and acting as benevolent guardians and facilitators for God's law. And there have been some in our particular political environment of the earth who've been in control, who have defaulted from their positions and chosen to align themselves against man. So I've been working with this beautiful woman whose father um, was in a Brahmin class and he didn't understand it and he questioned religion. He was a real kind of rebel kind of guy like me, like what's going on? And hey, what's going on? So he saw the book Power of the Pyramid by Ed Scholl and Pettit was the other guy, or Ed Pettit or whatever. But so he got into pyramids and he thought these was amazing. And he went around to teach people to breathe, meditate. He said, all you have to do is follow your breath. And this is very similar to the lineage of meditation that I follow, which is from Mahavatar Babaji. And this is the teacher of both Sri Yukteswar and Paramahansa Yogananda. Now, her father was teaching about breathing, which is very important. And so that's all he does is all you have to do is pay attention to your breath. He also believed that no one should ever go hungry. And he is very much about a nonviolent lifestyle and vegetarianism. This guy traveled. Um, he started the society in 92, but he had been doing some work when he was um, earlier. He had a experience, I think it was in the late 70s, where he was activated and he started traveling by plane, train, car, rickshaw, by foot to spread the message of meditation. He would just start talking to people and he created this worldwide network. He never charged for anything. And if he ever had an event, the food was always free and it always came from the people that supported and donated him. And they have a whole group of Indians. When he sings, they see them, they're all wearing paper pyramids on their head, which, hello, if you've been following me, I wear a pyramid on my head. We've been doing that uh, since the 1970s. Ours are steel frame with nickel and gold plating, a little better. But I was so excited. Dr. Fred Bell, my teacher, I was able to speak to him after he passed away a couple of years ago through Jane DeForest, who really did connect with him. I'm skeptical. I said, you're going to have to tell me something that no one else knows when I'm trying to contact someone. And she said, kick upon your soul. And that's what he signed in his book to me. So I knew this was real. And he said, hey, I talked about life on the other side and what he's doing. He had told me for sure that he was assassinated when he was on the Jesse Ventura show that they would never, the second series, they wouldn't even allow to be released. Um, but he's got a big science lab up there in the Pleiades, so he's was really excited. We were chatting, and he told me, he said, "Robbie, get a hold of this guy in India." And I was looking pyramids in India, and I think I actually came up with these pyramids, but I didn't associate it with this man, and so I couldn't think who it was. And just recently, I was connected to uh, the PSSM Global, the Pyramid Society. Um, and basically it's promoting the power of pyramids. And he has 6,000 people pyramids, 5,000 pyramid people pieces. He's got entire villages built by pyramids, and people all over India and around the world are building pyramids. They're intending to build a pyramid in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I will be on Labor Day with Raymond Keller. And if you want to go, it's a 3-day meditation summit on the 30th, the 31st of August, or the 31st, the 1st, and the 2nd of August. And it's free. Raleigh, North Carolina. Check it out on my website under events, or go to my other YouTube on the Victory of the Light. And you can see we interview her. It's amazing. And they're having free food, free vegan food, or vegetarian food. And I was so pleased because money, my conference costs money, and you know, people getting here and that whole drama. And they're able to, by the purity of her father's mission and how many followers he had around the world, the prosperity and abundance is flowing. And they don't they don't direct these things. People donate them and they run on their own, but they inspire them. And so him and his daughter are seen as the glue that's holding this knowledge and these traditions of these meditations that they do. And there will be music, um, Indian music at the various events. Also, a little heads up, I'm going to make a little infomercial here, but I'm really think I'm going to be going there to Lakshman Jula Rishikesh in Hardwar, one of my favorite places in India, up there in the Andhra Pradesh region, the headwaters of the Himalayas, and the location of the many people probably heard about, called the Kumbh Mela. Um, and they're doing a workshop up there, and she's invited me to present, and I'm just so excited to be working with her. She's It was fate meant to be, because my conference, I interviewed her, and she's actually bringing a woman's grooming up. Her name is Pari. So I hope you will check out pssmglobal.org. And I don't have any knowledge about that trip to India. It's basically a women's group, but I will be presenting a goddess thing. There may be some men, I'm not sure. So um, in India this Christmas, Lakshman Jula. I'm hoping I get to go. I don't know how things are going to work, but I'm praying. They're definitely going to be in Raleigh, North Carolina. So if you'd like to check that out. So let's get back. I was talking about her because I wanted to speak about the importance of breath and meditation. The transformation of ourselves comes with the transformation of our consciousness. And we're physical, spiritual, and mental beings. And so we have to take care of all of these parts of ourselves, by our body, by eating good food, and getting plenty of rest, and brushing our teeth, and um, those kind of things. And we have to take care of our mind by learning and growing. And we take care of our spiritual self by our relationship and our meditation with God. The way to contact God is like the pyramid. Pyramid, fire in the middle. The fire in the middle represents the life force created from the pyramid. The pyramid representing the Father, Son, the Holy Ghost, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, creator, preserver, destroyer. And these energetic principles, um, and how they've been applied on our world, have been corrupted. And those individuals, those systems, are getting their ass kicked in the mouth. And one of the main systems of the current of energy that they controlled had to do with controlling people's thoughts, money, and life, and draining our energy. Money represents energy, your work. So the financial system was controlled by a black magic dark money system created by beings from antimatter universes and some it's crazy to hear, but whether people want to recognize it now or not, it's the truth. And there's a lot of things going to happen because um, of the progress being made behind the scenes in dismantling the system. Okay. So this ancient quantum system was an alpha system, and that was controlling everything. And it was controlled by some fallen beings. I'll just call them that. Uh, let's say Satan, Beelzebub, some of these beings that have been here for a very long time. And they've been using human energy. Let's just say that not in a good way. And mankind has always been responsible. We've been challenged in coming here, and our mission is to convert this system and to speak out against evil and to um, uh, number one, listen to God and emphasize the truth of God and understanding the process of ascension and understanding God is not a place, it's not a thing. It is. God is the isness everywhere and everywhere you see and everywhere you think and anywhere you conceive in any dimension in any time and space in any timeline, whatever I need to cover it all. It's part and parcel of the creator. It's a pure creative force. It's the unknowable. Fathom that. Riddle me that, my little finite minded friends. It's the unknowable. We have a part of ourselves that our soul can merge beyond the intellect of the mental plane, and we can contact directly to the divine source within us. And this is the aspect of the teachings of the Venusians. So the world situation report is you've always had access to your divine higher self, but there's been a lot of, let's call it chaff in the way. You're shooting an arrow towards truth and understanding and right relationship, right meditation, right recreation, uh, you know, right prayer, entering into the silence. So this gentleman talked about breathing in and out. Now, I study the science of the still breath as shared with me by a Mahavatar named Babaji. He called me to his side in 1978. That's just another story. But this process is basically focusing on your breath on very slow inhales and exhales. It's called the science of the still breath. And meditate, another Latin word. Let's discuss that. You got the pyramid and you've got the meditate. Medi, wait, and tear is scale in the middle. So you're waiting in the middle. And what are you waiting? You're waiting in the middle of materialism and the spiritual realms. You're waiting in the middle of your breath and the in breath and out breath. You wait so perfectly that you never really take a breath and you never really take an inhale. It's just a energetic cycling of the life force through your seven centers and through the in breath and the exhale, the in breath and the exhale. And as the Kundalini and the life force goes up through your seven endocrine glands, moving the life force up into this antenna. It's called the Alta Major Center. You have three primary endocrine glands, the crown chakra, the Sahasrara, a diamond, the pineal. Then you have the pituitary gland, which sits a little farther back and around in the middle of the brain there. You have the hypothalamus, the emotional brain mind, and you have an area where you project your thoughts and your consciousness is. So there's an interplay of mankind understanding himself in the esoteric anatomy of how the energy cycles within your body in the terms of meditation. And the attitude of meditation shouldn't be work. It should be repose and listening to the voice of God and waiting in the middle of the breath and the incessant thoughts. We're waiting in the middle, so we enter into the silence. Now, the silence, you can listen to God. And if you need to have your mind going, we do recommend mantras or prayer, where, you know, Thou art mother, thou art father, thou art friend and companion. Thou art knowledge and wealth, thou art all in all. Protect us with your divine sweet presence. We offer a meditation, body, mind, and soul. For thou art all in all, and our devotion to the one creative I am presence, that Christ presence that exists in every particle of every universe and everything, no matter how big or how small, there is the presence of God. Now, even those ones aligned against God and have no idea what they're doing, um, they are still part and parcel of that. And in terms of eternity, if you need, a couple 10 billion years to go through evil, it's not going to be fun, but everyone has a free will choice. And because of there's an administration, there's been a concerted effort against the evolution of man on Earth. So I'm here to reveal a promise long told ago about the return of a golden age, a return to the awareness and the truth of God. His spirit now is pouring out on all flesh due to some very positive actions by galactic forces. And I'm going to say ground command, Go Kim Goguen. Her level of abilities that she inherited by virtue of her DNA, and let's call it cosmic fate and or fate and our cosmic heritage and destiny has brought this to us. It's been prophesized that we will go into this age, and now it's being unwound. It takes a long time. Mankind is just beginning to understand what was happening in the past, and they're looking so much at the past and the history of the control, they're not recognizing where we are right now. And this has happened behind the scenes because mankind would be blinded by the intensity of the revelation that I'm sharing with you now. That, 5 years ago, if I was talking about extraterrestrials and their interactions with human traders and hybrids of the Anunnaki, and not all of them, not all Anunnaki or human hybrids are bad or evil, but there's been a concerted effort by certain bloodlines and belief systems in their culture, a belief of their entitlement and right to rule. Think of the movie Jupiter Ascending. So um, I'm going to explain to you what's happening right now is let's go back to 2012 when there was an ending of covenants. The galactic forces could not intervene previously because there were covenants and contracts in regards to these energy systems that were controlled by these beings who were in positions of servitude, guardianship, mentorship, or administratively with energies and frequencies that we wouldn't really understand. We can talk about them, and though I know of them in more detail maybe than some, I would not be able to. What I know is like, you know, Semyasi said years ago, Rob, you think you know something, and then you realize you know nothing at all. Ooh, you go, well. So knowledge are steps on an endless ladder, but what is important is the heart, the Christ consciousness, the message that the Creator Son in his incarnation here to to actually at that point judge the fallen demon. Its entire galaxy, the the Luciferian rebellion and the ending of the rebellion is taking place in our solar system. That's why we're a very unique solar system. There's a lot of energy here, and there's been a lot of manipulation. It's been very hard. It's been a very tough school. If you live on Earth, they go, "Wow, you survived." Of course, you survived. Your soul never dies. So, but you come here, and there's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of suffering, and much of it is we do create that collectively. And we put that on ourselves by our attention. And the whole world is designed to gather our energy, our attention, and to create a narrative of lack, of fear, of guilt, of superstition, of dogma, of hatred, of bigotry, of race, of class, of age, of color, young and old. I mean, hell, you can't get a family to agree on anything. So what we all can agree on is if we tune in and listen to the mighty I am presence of God within through entering the silence. So when I met Babaji, he was sitting there in a full lotus, and these are his feet going way back. His knee, like really skinny guy. And he says, I want to show you something. And he uh his hair kind of went farther back than you would think. And he kind of went, you get a little shiver and like this. And then his eyes rolled back in his head. His eyes were halfway open. So I could see the whites of his eyes. They rolled back till I couldn't see any eye color. And they kept rolling. So attention was literally looking in there. So esoterically, he had taken control of his spiritual life force that comes into the body on a more subtle etheric level. And you can train for this with pyramids, lasers, crystals, and my advanced pyramid systems on my website if you want to research that. But this helps you gather an awareness of your electric biofield where that you can control the frequencies by understanding that you are like a sounding board. You have 7 notes of musical scale, 7 colors of the rainbow, 7 endocrine glands, which secrete hormones and cause your feelings. And with all the sound and disharmony that's been taking place with these high technologies and portals, and actually, I'm gonna say little parasites, astral parasites that suck you dry, kind of thing. So this is going to be out there for some people, but for those who are metaphysically understand, there is something called possession. I've seen it. I've seen it, and I was shown how it worked. And everyone's been susceptible to that. It's a frequency that, if it's allowed to come in, can escalate. And it happens just in extreme cases of passion about anything or attachment to material things and ideas that we think that we need to worry about or that are important. And trust me, God is always in control. If you always have faith and you know that everything is in divine order, and whatever you receive is nothing more than something to increase your compassion, your love for your fellow man, to give you humility and patience. And oh my God, keep remembering kindness, and be ye kind to strangers, unless ye entertain angels unawares. I had an opportunity to help a fellow person, and um, I was tested and I failed. And I realized later what I had done, but in the moment, um, the things came up in my mind and said, well, I have this important client. I need this money. Um, he would be very angry. He's very kind of entitled and arrogant. And I thought, well, a lovely, lovely person. But I mean, in certain levels, uh, anyway, the bottom line is, um, I pussied out, and I could have taken the whole afternoon and spent some time with this pure, innocent soul who was, whether I had the grace and the elegance to accept it at the moment, I did not help my fellow man and do unto others as I should have in that moment. Whatsoever anyone asks of me, I will do my best to help that person. Um, and this is one of the things that is a primary message of the Venusian angel force, is to inculcate random acts of kindness and for people to connect with God. And that's done, has to be done by your own desire to know the truth, and the faith that there is more out there. Now, the Venusians don't need faith because they meet those personages. I don't need faith anymore either. I've met them. I met the ascended masters. It doesn't make me great. In fact, take a look at me. If it can happen to me, it can happen to you, because believe me, um, I'm nothing special. If you were to look at me under a black light, uh, I'd be covered with all kinds of little, germs and stains, let's call it, on blemishes on my auric character in the past. But by, inculcating uh, the presence of the divine on a daily basis, and listening and knowing there's forgiveness, and seeking to be of service in some way. This is my particular mission, is to, I took it upon myself to feel that from my experiences when I was younger as they escalated into more physical contacts, that the essence of this was to experience the bliss that I was uh, uh, experiencing as these interactions in the soul planes took place. There's a thing called Ekankar, and I had a different kind of journey, but I was taken um, on soul travel experiences to the higher planes where I was taught things. And these things are not easy to remember or explain, but they're, let's say, they're reawakened in the reincarnated soul that follows that path or achieves that. And everyone is at a certain level of that on the path, whether they know there is even a path or a demarcation. But the demarcation is when one is in union with God, and that's not always forever and permanent consciously, but it is forever and permanent. And all you have to do is alter the view that that is there. And through that faith and that silence, the universe responds. So that's a little metaphysical thing. Let's get back to the fight with Kimberly Goguen. So in 2012, covenants expired, and there was all these different beings. There was Enlil and Enki and Anu, and there was a particular Red Queen anti-source Pleiadian. You know, the Pleiadians haven't been all roses and flowers here on Earth. They were a fallen race in Atlantis, and there's a lot of negativity that they did. These are the fallen ones, and they had the right of rulership and the ownership of the Earth, and they chose to make this planet a hell planet. Now, uh, I'll be reading at the summer conference. The Venusians said, look, the Pleiadians are heavily influenced by originally, a long time ago, by the beings from the Aldebaran. We're talking 18 million years ago. So they're very scientific. The spiritual nature for them, it's more science. It's more, not everywhere in the entire Pleiades. There's many dimensions up there, obviously. And if you read Billy Meyer's stuff, they talk about collectives and soul groups and things like this. So the universe is vast and it's populated, and there's a lot of people rooting for us down here, folks. So let's not let them down. Let's step up the game. Let's take advantage of the sovereignty that we have right now and realize that behind the scenes, the bad guys have very little power. They have the power of the media and your mind control and the distraction of you looking back into the past of UFO disclosure and research and all that nonsense. I don't roll like that anymore. I can tell you about that. I can tell you what's been happening on a metaphysical level and the history of the fall and Cain line that's mentioned in the, of course, the Joseph Smith Mormon book. It's a chronicle of that. You know, I'm not pushing Mormonism or Catholicism or baptism or Catholicism or Buddha or Muhammad or uh, Krishna or whatever. They all represent behind the scenes at the highest level the pure intent and the light that's never been extinguished on this planet, that is renewed from age to age. And despite the negative control, now mankind's free. We're moving into golden age, baby. It's upward and onward from here. So let's stop looking at the fear of the false flags of this and that and 5 days of darkness and all this stuff. We have enough challenges coming up here, and it's up to us to take advantage of what's been going on.